Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, how many of you guys are here for the first time? Raise your hand. Wow, good. Okay. Glad to have you. Hope to see you next year. Bring a friend. So today our panel we have is the Kentucky Black Writers Collaborative panel today, and we are talking about why Black writers matter. Now, the title of our session is Telling Our Stories, Our Truth, Our Way. And as we all are aware, the times that we're living in today is not always conducive, or people are not always wanting to hear our stories anymore. Some folks, that is, not all folks. So, as Black writers, we have an obligation to make sure that our stories stay alive, stay in the forefront, are not hidden, not trying to be whitewashed away or any of those kind of things. And I know because you guys are here, you all also believe that as well. So today with us, we have our feature panelist. Great writers up here in front of you. You all have, I'm sure, read or heard their words and their work. We have Nita Clarke right here. Samar Jade. And we all know the lovely, lovely Miss Claudia Love Mair, who is our KBWC Black Collaborative coordinator. That's it, yes. And then we have Miss Deidra White on the end. So we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to ask them some questions and have them share with you, and then there will be some time for you guys to have questions. If anything comes to mind while we're having this conversation, jot it down, and then we'll have a time for you all to ask some questions as well or share some thoughts after what you've heard. So I'm going to ask some questions, and then I'll let you guys, decide who wants to answer. And I'm not going to say this one's for you, Samar. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say that. I'm going to let you all let the spirit move you. All right. So one question that I have is like, what are some of the stories that we should be telling? Anybody?
I don't know if should is, the right word.
Okay.
I like to say, don't should on yourself.
Okay.
I think the stories that come out of us, that we create, it should be organic. It should come out of what moves us, what compels us to say, this happened, or I was here, or I need you to know this. I need this to be in the world. One thing that I tell daughters and heart daughters is to use your voice. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. Even if you don't get the outcome that you wanted, at least you had your say. And you guys remember the women they were like 100 years old? Yeah, the Delaney sisters, and they wrote that book, Having Our Say, something like that. And they just wanted to tell their stories. So I think as a response to the things of our life, as a response to the culture, as a response to joy and sorrow, we tell stories.
I was going to say that the kind of stories that we should be telling should feel, like Claudia said, compelling to us. But I want to really encourage those of us who have more than one marginalized identity, because a lot of times people, well, I should say this, there is a majority view in the world, and that can't be changed unless we start speaking our truth, we start telling our stories. And a lot of times you are surprised by how people identify with your work, even if it's not for them. I've had people, I mean, my poetry does not shy away from any of my identities, but people can identify because it is authentic, and part of writing is conjuring these emotions. It's making space for these things that we might not be able to say out loud, but we can read it and we can feel it and we can release it. So I just want to encourage that there is no story that is too much, or that someone would not identify with. That's not the important part. The important part is putting it down. No, Nita.
I'd like to address the should.
Okay.
I come from a traditional family with lots of traditions, and I'm sure all of you do. And I think what we need to do, we should do, is to write about our traditions and things that we want to be passed down and to continue. I come from Louisiana, and a lot of what we transfer to other people is our food. Anybody that goes to Louisiana, the first thing they'll say, boy, I sure love that gumbo or that etouffee or whatever. And if we don't honor the should, then those things will be cast away and we won't have them anymore. And so my writings are based on me as the writer, and usually I'm the narrator, because I'm passing along what I truly believe in my work and what I want to be passed on to my children, to my grandchildren. I have 3 great-grandchildren now, and it's just a joy to be able to, like music, to actually play music and dance with them. We all do that. That's passing along a tradition. And so that's my should.
Thank you.
I wholeheartedly agree. The nonfiction memoir that I've been working on for the past, I think, 3 or 4 years, it just started with me and my dad having a conversation. And through that conversation, I began to write, and I got to know him better. I got to know me better because I learned his stories. I learned about the people that live in me, that are in my blood. I learned not who I am. I always knew who I was, but I didn't know why I was the way that I was. And it's one of the most potent things I've ever done and experienced, but it's also necessary. Through this journey, I think I have 14 pages of farming techniques that I would have never. He's teaching me things that nobody knows anymore. I want to be clear, and I'll talk about this in my session later in poetry, the original language. That's why I'm being very delicate. I don't want to speak too much to what I'm going to teach in the session, but they just published the last almanac this year. My granny would not know what to do with that. We are losing things.
Mm-hmm.
We are losing so much. If you have an older family member, if you have an older neighbor, an older friend, sit down, talk to them, get that story.
Yes.
I'm trying not to talk too much to what's in the session, but that, to me, that record keeping is the most important thing that we need to be doing right now. Also, I believe in the mysticism of writing. Glennis Redmond, who was the poet laureate of Columbia, South Carolina, came to Lexington, and we were all sitting around, and she taught a craft session on the mysticism of writing, this sixth sense that writers have, and we all have it. And when you write the thing that inspires you, that urges you to put something on the page, it's gonna connect to almost everything that's happening around you right now. I have a piece, I just read it here last week, called To All the Boys I Loved Before. And there's a movie on Netflix called To All the Boys I Loved Before. And it's just a quirky teen drama series. And I watched it and I was like, it's about a young lady who writes love letters to all the boys that she loves, and then her sister mails them out without her approval. And then she's got to deal with this mess that her sister's created, because all these boys get these love letters. And I was just thinking, oh, who would I write love letters to? It was just the most random thought. And I started writing this piece. And I started thinking about the Hispanic guys that I worked with in the factory for almost 10 years, and how we would work together at night. And I just let the piece pour out of me, but it connected to what's happening right now, because my factory wound up getting raided and they all got deported. That was in 2007. When you feel the urge, write it down. It will connect you to everything that is. I promise you it will. So when you're talking about what we should be writing, you don't feel that inspiration in your gut for nothing. There's a reason that it is pulling at you. There's a reason that those words want to be on the page, and you just have to trust that and follow it, because you have all of you all that write know, you have no idea where a piece is going. It could start one way and end somewhere completely different. So just trust that gut instinct that you have.
Let me say one more thing about this particular question. I think if we look at certain things as they should, that avoids the past, things that, we all know about slavery and wars and all sorts of other things. And if we pass this information on down to the next generation or to your neighbor or whomever, that's a way to avoid bad things from happening again. To talk about it and to write about it.
Well, I met this monk years ago, and he's a priest, Orthodox priest, black man. And he said, if we don't keep our stories alive in one generation, they'll be gone. They'll be gone. And you think about, when I was a kid, we didn't have anything like this. This is a computer that you can put in your pocket. If the phone was in the house, if you needed privacy, you had, a 40-foot cord that could, who knows what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
All right. But anyway, think of how quickly life changed. Think of when you first got AOL, because they mailed you a CD every day. And think about how the internet has changed in such a short span of time, relatively speaking. So we've got kids who are being bombarded with information all the time, and there's so much of it. Are we sitting down to make sure kids know the stories of us? Now we have seen the Voting Rights Act gutted.
Yeah.
Do our kids, the ones that are going to carry on without us, do they know about the dogs and the water hoses? Do they know that those water hoses, that the pressure was so high that it could rip your skin? I found that out like a year ago. I saw those images and I had no idea of the real pain until someone said that water pressure could rip your skin. And it's our job to pass it on. And like I said, I'm going to be the holdout. on the should thing. Be the holdout. Because I believe, like Deidra said, there is this mysticism involved. There are these ancestors that are standing all around us, on our shoulders, behind us, in front of us, on the side of us, saying, hey,
That's right.
don't forget. Don't let these kids forget. I like to say this, I say this so often, that Black people who endured chattel slavery were the first enslaved people in the history of slavery who wrote their stories. And this is the DNA that we carry of writers who said, I was here, this happened to me. Do not let us forget. And so, you know, if I am going to say anything about a should, the Voting Rights Act was gutted. And some forces are trying to take away what was hard won, what maybe we took for granted because it was so easy for us to go to the voting booth. And when we got young people saying stuff like, well, but yeah, my vote doesn't matter. But it's more than just a vote. It's about, hey, people suffered so we could have a better life. And we had it. And we're going to keep it. But one of the primary ways we'll do this is to, there's no revolution without words, without the writers and the artists. So, you know, let those stories, guided by the ancestors, guided by your own heart, guided by seeing that the Farmer's Almanac is gone, guided by, like Crystal Wilkinson, the ghost of her ancestors in the kitchen, through the food. That's it.
Okay, thank you all. Wow, that was a lot. Just one little word, should. How about that? But let me just say, being the diplomatic person that I am, I believe both of those, you know. It depends on what we're writing, you know, what our goals are and everything, that we can have both of those as opinions. Thank you guys for that.
Yes, don't let should be a hindrance. That's
Yeah. Yeah. And just one thing she was talking about the ancestors, and I truly believe that, you know, we're all here as prayers answered by our ancestors. So they prayed for all of us to be here. So what are we going to do with that? You know, the hope, and when she's talking about the things being turned back, and that Kamala said, we will not go back. But there are so many things that are happening, like in this anti-DEI culture, where just being Black is like, I mean, it's back to, Black is beautiful. Black is, you know, we have words that need to be out. We're powerful with that, but there are those who are trying to undermine everything that has happened so far and the things that we've done, and removing the women and all of that. So how do we deal with that and still continue to function as writers when maybe, I don't know, you know, some of us have the opportunity to work places where they have freedom to write, you know, embracing our cultures, whatever that is. But then some people have jobs that they have to kind of navigate that. So how do you all?
You know, so I want to speak to the fact that what we're experiencing in the media is not new. The gutting of the Voting Rights Act, all of these things that we're seeing that they appear that we're moving backwards. The thing is, in some places, it never changed. So what we're seeing is just what was in the dark coming to the light. So I just want to be clear in that way, that we're, in some ways, we are still sitting with those sins, and I guess, how should I say this? Our ancestors had codes, whether it was in escaping as Maroons, or for our queer ancestors who had signifiers like handkerchiefs, to let people know who they were, where they were. We have codes. So one thing to remember when you're writing, even if you can't say the thing, you can still say the thing. It doesn't have to be explicit for it to be right in front of our faces. And I think about that when I write. Yes, write the hard things, but sometimes playing with code is also helpful too, because that's honoring our ancestors that couldn't say what needed to be said in the tongue of the colonizer. So remember, you have the incredible capacity to create your own code. I feel like when we're in spaces, there are looks that we have that you don't have to say anything, but you know what it is. There's a way that we acknowledge one another, whether we know each other on the street. That's a code. And that's not anything necessarily that's taught. That's innate. And so remember that as well. Remember that as well.
That's so funny you said that, because I know growing up, you do something wrong, your mother will look at you, she'll give you a look, you just like, oh God, I just, you know. So yeah. Anybody else want to speak on that?
I'm going to shift it just a little bit. Say it. Say it as loud as you fucking want. You say it. You put it on the page. You say it like you thought it. You say it how it came from your gut. We don't need to be tiptoeing and sneaking around nothing, because they not. They not. You say it explicitly and you mean it. There is a problem, and I don't want to say problem, but we have this weird dynamic as Black people where we are operating in spirit and physical at the same time all day long. We are moving and navigating through this world in where your intuition is telling you one thing, but society tells you something else, if that makes any sense. We don't have time. We don't have time to tiptoe. We don't have time to hide. You say the thing. You mean it. You stand on it 10 toes. We gonna back you. Everybody will. If y'all not all on one accord right now, I don't know what else to tell you. It is time for us to get back to community. It is time for us to, if you see something, say something, stand beside. I know you got the job. I know you have children you have to feed. I know you have a roof you have to keep over everybody's head, especially with there nothing being nothing but Black women in here. I understand. I truly, truly do. But now is the time for you to be louder and bolder and brighter than ever. You shout it from the rooftops. You put it on the page. I had to teach a class this semester at 5:30 in the evening. I'm in menopause. Sorry if that's TMI, but I am. Brain fog, for those of you that have gone through it and gone through it, after 5:30, I am done. I cannot remember what my phone number is, let alone what I'm supposed to be teaching. So I did not want to teach this class. I tried to get out of teaching this class, and my assistant dean was like, just try it. And if it doesn't work out, maybe we'll find somebody to cover for you. And I said, fine. I get to this class, same English 101 composition, she's usually freshman. I've taught it a million times. There's all these black women in there. Not only are there all these black women in there, one of them had already read the assignment that wasn't assigned yet. She was already on it. And she kept saying, what happens next? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, nah. I want to know where the rest of it is at. And I was like, what are you talking about? Where's the rest of it? And I was like, it's a 12-page essay. Did you read all 12 pages? And she was like, yeah, but where the rest of it? I was like, there is no rest of it. That's the end, girl. That's the end of this essay. And I'm trying to get through teaching the syllabus. We're not even learning anything today. We're just going over the syllabus. And she is just on fire over this essay that's written by Erica Simpson. If you've never read it, it's called If You Ever Find Yourself. She graduated with her MFA from University of Kentucky, but I want to say she's originally from Atlanta. Brilliant. She just published a book based on this essay called This Is Your Mother. And the book just came out last summer. And when I tell you just a beautiful light, this lady is. So we get through the syllabus. She wants to talk about the essay, and I'm like, you can't. You're going to ruin it for the students that haven't read it yet. So I was like, I tell you what, if you want to stay after class, we'll talk about it. But I don't want to ruin it for the rest of the students. She's like, okay, I'm going to stay. So she stays. The rest of the black women stay. I said, y'all haven't read the essay? They like, we don't care. We want to hear this conversation. So it's me and maybe 6 black women. They're not young kids because a grown adult takes classes at night at 5:30 in the evening. So I have all these black women. We're all adults and we're sitting and we're talking about this essay. And one of them says, I think she looks like Reba McEntire. And I said, what? And she said, I think she looks like Reba McEntire. And another one said, yeah, me too. I kind of pictured, yeah, like a Reba McEntire. I said, Erica Simpson? You think Erica Simpson looks like Reba McEntire? And they were like, yeah, what does she look like? And then it dawned on me, they have no idea who Erica Simpson is. They've never read her work. They probably didn't Google her. This is their first semester in college. So I was like, hold on, I'm gonna show you what Erica Simpson looks like. So I go on my laptop and I pull it up on the board. The look on their face when they saw this black woman. And one of them said, you mean to tell me that I have a black professor that is teaching me and the first thing we're reading is by another black woman? I saw it change her in real time. Not only that, to read an essay that speaks directly to her, we need it. We need it. Say the things. No matter how hard, no matter how difficult, it is so necessary that you do. It is life-changing for people when you are honest on the page. I have found it is the honesty and the vulnerability that connects to your reader. When you trying to be too flowery and you're trying to use too much craft rather than just explicitly saying how it comes from your Lisa nodding her head because she know that's what her writing does. And I guarantee you probably don't edit a lot. How it pours out of you is how you usually probably leave it on the page because it is that important. So I get it. You have jobs. You don't want to be too pro-black. You don't want to be too this or too that. If you are a corporate woman and you have a career, but honey, let me tell you something. It is needed and necessary more now than it ever has been for us to be honest on the page. So I want to add that on there. I'm sorry for ranting.
I'm going to be Switzerland
She's Switzerland now. Okay.
between my beloveds. I got a job, and my job
Yeah.
is to help you tell your stories. However, people send money to the Carnegie Center for Literacy and Learning so that I can do this. When a new administration came and all things black were DEI, I had to look at that. The Carnegie Center as a whole had to look at that. Yes, tell the truth loud. But also, you might have to tell the truth or tell it slant. Our ancestors were really good at that. I think both are important, just like our words should. Yes, both, and my beloveds are coming from what is guiding them right now. We need both of them. We need Samar to remind us about the codes, about the hidden things that kept us able to speak. We lost partners when the current administration came in. We had a series called Say It Loud, and suddenly one of these partners did not want us saying it loud. Do we still say it loud? Yeah, but in a different way. In a different way. If I don't look with wisdom, with some wiliness at what is going on, this will be shut down. There will be no free classes. There will be no perfect Black poetry for the people. There will be no scholarships for books in progress. So don't think that hard decisions don't have to be made so that you can say it loud, right? So that you can tell that truth, that hard truth. So I needed to add that.
The revolution needs all of it.
All of it.
All parts of everything that we can offer. Because sometimes you have got to scream and say it loud. And I want to be clear also that with the use of code, it's not that you aren't saying the thing. You are speaking about the thing in a way that people who don't need to know about the thing don't know about the thing. And sometimes I feel like, you know how people will have a conversation in mixed company? Mm-hmm. Some things don't need to be said in mixed company, and that's where code is helpful. And I say that as somebody who has to move in between worlds of academia and not academia. Don't be afraid of saying the thing, but sometimes the thing can't be said in a certain way to make sure that it's not, decimated, We are here because of both. We are here because people said it loud, and we are here because people knew how to speak code.
Who saw the Super Bowl with Kendrick Lamar?
Yes.
Who knew what he was talking about? Right. Now, a lot of people didn't know what he was talking about.
Or that they couldn't
Right.
understand.
They couldn't understand the symbology. But we could see it right away, right?
Before he even said a word.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even need words.
It's like with Benito. I don't speak Spanish. I watched Bad Bunny Super Bowl. I was like, oh, I see what you're doing.
Said a lot.
I see what you're doing right there. So
Listen to Bad Bunny.
that is what we're talking about. That is saying it loud. It's also saying it in code. It's both. And both brought us to where we are, at a place where we can tell our stories. How are we going to tell our stories right now?
Mm-hmm.
What is the story that is bubbling inside of you right now? Mm-hmm. What do you have to say? You've got a whole, like a double vantage point. And I'm going to talk about this in writing and social action. You got a double vantage point.
So for somebody like, if you see somebody or you read somebody's work and they are saying the thing out loud, I need to remind you to support those things, because sometimes we'll see things and we'll be like, oh no, that person shouldn't have said that. And we need to be sharing that, especially like in social media and like, what is it, Substack. There are a lot of things that are being said, but they are being ignored because of abrasiveness. So make sure that abrasiveness, I use that in quotation marks, because anytime anything comes out of the mouth of a Black femme, it's going to be deemed as violence. So we have to remember that when one of us seems more violent, quote unquote, that we also need to be in positions to support one another and not leave that person in this, like, the lurch. Because I see that a lot in our spaces, that somebody will be saying something, somebody will be speaking out against something, and everybody else is looking at them like, and that's not helpful at all.
The session that I'm teaching, Poetry, the Original Language, it talks about the responsibility and the privilege of writing. And Lucille Clifton's mom was a poet. Did anybody know that? She was also a laundress. And her husband, Samuel, forbade her from writing poetry. So she would write a little poetry, share it with Lucille, tuck it in the chair, write a little poetry, share it with the neighbor, put it under a brick in the garden. She had poetry tucked and hidden all over the house till her father found it, till Samuel, Lucille Clifton's father, found it. He made her go around and gather up all her poems. He started a fire. He made Lucille watch as her mother's poetry was thrown into the fire and it became ash. Do whatever you have to do. Trust your intuition. Don't ever take what somebody tells you to do as law. You do whatever you feel is necessary in your gut, because that's what's going to guide you anyway. But at the same time, remember, there was a time when we had ancestors that couldn't say the thing at all. So use your privilege in some of these situations and make sure that, of course, be responsible, or of course, protect yourself. I don't want harm to come to anyone, even if it's financial harm because you've lost your position or something. But remember, there was a time when we couldn't say it loud. And kind of just keep that in the back of your mind, that even as you sit in here today and write, it is a privilege for you to be able to do it. And I think that's kind of what Claudia is speaking to. There's sacrifices that she makes, so we have the privilege to sit in this room. LaVon Williams' piece out there is made of the bookshelves from the colored section that was right here in this building. There was a time when you weren't free to walk all over this building. So yes, I understand. Take whatever necessaries you need to take, but also remember that you have a really, really beautiful privilege to say the quiet thing out loud when you can.
I'm just going to do a little KBWC pitch. You can take classes here. You can deepen your craft. We have amazing writers that can take you to the next level. And we're moving up toward 300 members. So few of you take classes. Many of you who receive scholarships got them because I personally said, hey, you want a scholarship? Even though we put out information about what we're doing all the time, I can't chase down 270 people. Just take advantage of what's here while it's here.
Amen.
I'm going to keep it real. This was like a 5-year experiment. It was a social experiment. And we came in so strong that they kept us around. Well, we're 5 now.
We're 5.
But they're going to keep us around. I think we're going to be here next year. But we got an administration that is actively trying to keep us out. And the Carnegie Center is fighting, is making stealth ninja moves so that you can take these classes and grow your craft. You don't have to get a student loan. Baby, I got one. I got a big old student loan for my MFA. You can get that kind of education for free. So, please, come to things.
I just want to piggyback on her plea. Also, please come out to our events that we have when we put those on. That's an opportunity for you all to share your voice and your work. We have several people here who come out to the Burn the Mics, and that's an opportunity for you to share, even if you've never done it before, just to get practice and let your voice be heard. And then we also have the Facebook page and other social media outlets. Please react and respond to those when we're posting things, and if you have things to share that would benefit other KBWC members, please share that. There'll be something coming out soon that was shared with me about opportunities for you all to share your voice. So look for that. And don't be afraid to come up to us or email Claudia or myself to let us know what you need, because we're here to help you. That's what we're here for.
This is your community.
Yeah, I began my writing career here at Carnegie, and it was not beautiful when I first began writing here. In fact, I left. A bunch of us left. It was not safe. I'm just gonna say it explicitly. Claudia comes in with KBWC. She starts emailing me. I'm like, who this black woman think I'm coming back up in there? I ain't coming back up in there. And I was very surprised when I did finally come back into these doors. And if you've ever been in other workshops, if you've ever been in other writing courses, you know the danger it is, especially when you're a woman or a man of color in these spaces, the harm that happens. LaTanya Jones tells the story about a woman that wrote saying, you remind me of a character I'm writing, a little slave girl named Nini. Things like that happen in workshops. Things like that happen in writing circles. Be careful where you are going and building your craft. But I can say that what Claudia has built here at Carnegie, it's not only safe, it's family. It truly is family. You're going to get writing gigs from these people. You got Pam, who works at the Lexington Writers Room right here in front of your face. It is really a place to come, network, connect, grow, create connections. You've done brilliant, Claudia. You really, really have. And I know everybody always gives you your flowers, but I did want to add that on there.
Can I say
Pam,
something?
Oh,
Oops, I'm
really
sorry.
quickly, Pam is here because we had a meet and greet when I first started, and Gwenda Bond was here. And I said, hey, what you doing in here, white girl? And she told me, she talked about the Lexington Writers Room, and I said, that sounds like a partnership we need to have. And for 5 years, the KBWC has had a partnership with the Lexington Writers Room. So there are so many connections
That you can make right here.
right here. But you got to come. You got to show up. This is your community. Nita.
Thank you. I just wanted to say one quick thing about codes. If you think about it, gospel music was a code to our ancestors. They knew to meet at the river if they could, or they knew that the man was coming some kind of way. They would pass that knowledge on to the rest of our ancestors that were slaves through their music. That's where gospel music came about. And I think that's very important. But I also want to quickly tell you that I'm a wounded writer. I recently became quite wounded. And Claudia, you'll definitely understand this. I've been writing a column for the Catholic newspaper here in Lexington since the 80s. It became a magazine over the last 2 years, and I've been writing a column for them as a magazine writer. Well, recently, my editor actually kicked me out of the club. I am no longer writing for the Catholic News at all. I chose not to because, first of all, he owes me for 2 articles I wrote. He never paid me. That was a big thing. And the second part of it was there was one Latino girl writing for the newspaper and me, the African American. So he stopped giving me articles to write. So I went to my priest and I told him, I said, I feel really wounded about this. He said, well, I have an idea. Let's give you a column in the weekly bulletin. So now I interview people in my church and write their story in the bulletin. And people are now beginning to meet each other where they didn't. They're on a different level. I read that article, and I wanted to tell you thank you. Or the people that I'm writing for will say, hey, that was really great what you wrote. So you can be wounded too. So, I'm glad to be here. I am just overwhelmed to be here. And I stand with your opinions about Claudia and Carnegie Hall.
Stop.
Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, stop.
This is Carnegie Hall.
I love that. Yeah, I like that.
I think I heard a number around 30,000, but tens of thousands of Black women lost their jobs
Yes.
because of the current administration.
Mhm.
Please don't take advantage of what's right in front of you, because you don't really know how long it'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Now, I mean, we're going to make a way out of no way, no matter what. But what I'm saying is take the classes, come to the events, because you don't know how long anything is going to be here.
Because if we're not showing up for our own selves, nobody else is going to show up for us. And if they see that nobody's coming to the classes, if they see no one's coming to the events, why are they can use that money for anything. Doesn't have to be for us.
That's why I be calling y'all. Let's get your scholarship. We don't want people to take scholarship money away. Let's do it.
That's true. Let me ask you, how many of you, do any of you know about the Lextropolis magazine? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a magazine that is writing and telling the African American stories, positive stories. They're sharing stories that may not make it on the news or people don't know about. So that is a way for us to tell our stories and to keep getting those out. And that magazine's been around for 10 years. How many of you all have read it or even know that it exists? Raise your hand. Okay, all right. Well, we have one of our awesome writers in the back. So, one of the questions is, what impact do we have as Black writers in 2020? How can we get our voices out? Opportunities, and we have those opportunities. We just have to look for them. And then Claudia gives us opportunities anytime we can think of it.
Okay, y'all stop talking about me.
But I'm just saying, and that's another thing about the networking and being in the room with each of you all. We know about things, and we can help each other. And that's what the community is.
I want to say something about writing about Black trauma and publishing. Publishers love Black trauma. It's like they feed off of Black trauma. I've even heard a term trauma porn. Our pain is not a commodity. And I want to encourage you people will exploit a Black writer until it's no longer profitable for whatever reason. And we got to recognize these things as we get our stories out there. And right now, I'm of the opinion, get your writing out however you can. You may have to self-publish that book.
Oh, yeah.
You may have to go to a tiny publisher, get no advance.
You have a publisher that wrote a book about how to self-publish sitting right over there.
Katarina.
Katarina Stoikova,
Yeah.
who is also the president of the State Poetry Society. Yeah, get them out there however you can. Be careful with social media. I will say that, though. They will steal if it is not published and copyrighted, they will steal your words off of them screens. So just be careful with social media, but also,
I think it depends on how you're thinking about social media. Like my previous incarnation of Facebook, I really wrote kind of like micro memoirs, each post. And then my mentor asked me some hard questions like, why do you feel a need to share everything? What is it that you're getting out of this? And I had to ask myself, why am I showing up like this? And I'm still asking myself, how do I want to show up on social media? Your work is automatically copyrighted to you when you write it. However, people will steal your work. If you want something to be published, that you need to be focused on that. And think, okay, I want this to be in my book. So maybe I'll share a snippet, but I'm not putting the whole essay on here so somebody can take. Because once it goes on the internet, you don't have any more control over it. So put on the internet people are using social media with great effect to say many important things. But as Samar talked about, you get your trolls, you get people who really could use your support. The internet does create community. I've done it again and again, creating communities around the words that I was writing. People will read it and say, yeah, me too. And the next thing you know, you got a little community. Black people have always written in community. Revolutions have always started in community. We're not out here trying to do it alone. Can't do it alone. But anyway, But you can learn things like what to put on social media, what to think about for publication if you come to the Carnegie Center and take classes from people who know that stuff.
And not only that, communicate to Claudia what classes you want.
Not just me.
And she will make it happen. But you know what I'm saying? But you can, and that'll make it happen. Just be honest about what it is that you're looking for in workshops or classes or courses. And the Carnegie Center will build around it, around the need that you want. They will find a teacher that will teach the course, and they will get you the class. But just do not stop, man. Isn't it a quote where it says, if you don't tell your story, somebody else will tell it for you?
They might not tell it the way you want it told either.
Girl, exactly. But you can't get mad if you didn't tell it yourself.
Right. I mean, we got Katarina, a publisher,
Yeah.
in the house right now. Always coming to events at Carnegie Center. We got Lisa sitting right there, an incredible teacher. Sitting right there.
Okay. So I've been having, as they are talking about inspiration and gut feelings and ancestral communications going on in my body. And I've had this thing about black ink and been writing about black ink and the importance of black ink and what does it mean to have black ink flowing through my veins. And I think we all have that in us. So how can we keep that black ink flowing?
What is black ink?
The ability to write as a black person.
Right. It's as simple as that. That black ink will keep flowing if you keep writing.
Yeah, it is a practice. It's a practice. And the longer you go without writing, the harder it is to come back to the page. I think Crystal Wilkinson told us once in a workshop that she would get up at 5 in the morning and write, just because that was the only time the kids would sleep and the husband would sleep, and she didn't have any obligation to do anything. And I started doing it when I was getting my MFA. I would get up at like 4 something in the morning, fix my coffee, go sit on the stoop. So if you ever see me on Upper Street, my hair is like, that's what's going on. To the point where people would be scared. They would like walk to the other side of the street when they saw me, and I would get up and write. But you have to make it a practice. You have to get up and do it and put pen to the page. Whether you like what you're putting on the page or not, it has to be some sort of routine that comes in it. And also, I'm gonna say self-love. I haven't dated in so long, and part of it is because I am falling so hard in love with who I am as a person and in love with me. And I don't want nobody to come in between what's happening over here, because it is just so beautiful. And then the more I loved me, every flaw, every mole, the more everything that I experienced was worthy to be written about. Every single thing. Because I think somehow when you fall in love with yourself and who you are as you walk through this world, the world kind of opens up to you in this beautiful way that you didn't see before. I don't know how to explain that, and maybe I'm not explaining it well enough, but and then for some reason there's just this cyclical where love is coming in and love is going out and love is coming in, and everything becomes worthy to be written about. And I mean everything. So I think a lot of good inspiration comes from how you feel about you and how much you love how you see the world. I tell my students, you think you're not special, you think I'm just, same as this person, that person, that person, but in the history of this planet, there has never been a you, not one. There might have been somebody that looked like you, somebody that sounded like you, somebody that lived on the same side of town as you did. Y'all could look identical, y'all could dress alike. It is not you. They were not raised with your parents in your household, with your siblings at the time frame that you were being raised, whatever. Your experience on this planet is so singular in that, because there'll never be another you after you. Please don't rob the world of it. I want to see how you see the world. I want to know what you know. I want to feel like you feel. I want to see what's going on in your heart, in your mind, and nobody can do that but you. I was keynote for the youth poet laureate here at Carnegie, and they said, write a speech for the people that don't win that keeps them writing. And I was like, okay, I don't know how to do that. How do I talk to the losers? I'm joking. But I said, one day this civilization will crumble. It will, because all civilizations do. And it will be beneath dirt and stone and ash, and another civilization will spring forth. It will begin again. And they will begin to create communities and societies, and they'll become so advanced, they'll one day come looking for us. We do it now. We go and we dig and we look for artifacts and things from the people that were here before we were. And one day they will come looking for you. And they will find your coffee makers and your cars and your cell phones, and all of that's cool, but what they're looking for are the words. They are looking for what you had to say about your experience and what you believed and what was fun and what you loved and what was beautiful about who you were and what was ugly. They are coming looking for you. They will. And it is your words they will find if you choose to write it down. And God, what a privilege that is to speak 2,000 years from now, to still be speaking, you know. So just keep it in practice and understand how powerful your perspective is.
I
I'm
want
sorry.
to share as a person who stopped writing because I'm so busy trying to get y'all to write, and having a full-time job can really slow your roll when you want to write. Once upon a time, I was writing Christian fiction. I was an outlier. I was in a market that very few black people were in. People weren't hearing black stories, and here I came with mine. And they weren't easy stories, they were hard stories. And so here this audience of white people were finding black people with a new perspective, a different way. My Christianity wasn't necessarily looking like theirs. And so I was in a really good spot. And I wrote maybe 11 books around that time, which is, you know, I mean, I know some of my friends, I'm on my 36th book. My brain is never going to do it. But I was crushing it with the 11. And then I decided I didn't want to write Christian fiction anymore. But I didn't know what I wanted. I knew I wanted to elevate my work. I wanted to elevate my craft. Christian fiction was at the time notorious for being bad. And I wanted literary. I wanted beautiful, beautiful writing. But also with these elements of high diction and low diction and you know, incredible craft, but completely relatable. And I did not know what to do or where to go, so I just stopped writing. Now, how many of you know who Chance the Rapper is? Okay, any Chance fans, people that really like Chance? Okay, we got one. 2 of us in here. If you know anything about Chance the Rapper, he wrote an album dedicated to getting married. It's called The Big Day. Chance the Rapper was also an outlier, a person who did not sign with the label, used to give his music away for free. And then he became so elevated, won Grammys. Then he does this album and got trashed. And he lost his spot. Like I lost my spot. I was no longer on the shelves in the bookstore. I stopped writing, and then the people who were writing kept going up. You can lose your spot. Now, I work with writers. There's books all around me every day. There are writers surrounding me that I deeply respect and love. I've become friends with people that I fangirl. But sometimes not writing, I forgot I was a writer. Mm-hmm. Like some of y'all didn't even know I was a working writer. Like I forgot I got a book coming out in September. But if I'm not writing, I'm not thinking about the totality of what I can bring into the world. And so practice, it might not make perfect, but it will make progress, right? I want to read you. So Chance came back. He's got an album out right now. So he got trashed. And this album, this is the very first song called the Starslide intro. Surprise, it's a boy who lived. It's a West Chatham Santa with some toys to give. A 38 special called Noisy Cricket. I got a chain on now called Roy G. Biv. It's the new edition like Poison. Bev Bell DeVoe, it's time to make that noise again. Lauryn Hill says she's seen me on The Voice again, but this is the end of the road like Boys to Men. You better use your pen, baby. Use your heart, child. Where's your viewpoint? Where's your art style? Sometimes a teardrop can make your heart smile. Looking for a sign and he sends a star shower. Fresh off surviving the coup d'etat, the music stopped. You just might lose your spot. No fairy tale endings if you lose the plot. It's written in the notebook if you forgot. It's a love letter, right?
Wow.
Don't lose your spot. Whether you're a blogger, whether you write on social media, if you're getting your work out there, keep going, keep practicing. I'm speaking to myself. Keep practicing. Make progress.
Yeah, and I just want to share also when she's talking about practice, we do have a couple classes, plug for the Carnegie Center, a couple of classes, one that I teach, it's a free writing practice, which is just writing. It's a set time. We meet on Zoom, so no matter where you're coming from, and this is open to anyone, from 12 to 1. 30 on Friday, and then Melissa teaches at night here too. So if in the middle of the day is not good for you, there's another class that you can take in the evenings in person here. So practice makes perfect. I know probably we as writers may not think that. You look at musicians and piano players and singers and all of that. They practice and practice and practice and practice. But writing sometimes seems like it's just a, natural thing we do. But we do have to have practice. And it's not about getting the words perfect on the paper. It's just getting them on the page. So don't let perfection stop you from writing. And now I'm going to open it up. If you guys have any questions, you will, for our lovely panel, let me know and I will bring you the mic. Anybody? Okay. All right, of course, she's all the way in the back, so I'm going to all the way back here. Here I come. Would you please stand up and tell us who you are? Yep, come on.
Hello, I'm Shalique Winters, Empress Rocks. Hello, all of y'all. Y'all made me cry. Y'all made me go turn in my one page that I was like, no, it's not a one page, but it is, but it ain't, but it is, but it ain't. Whatever it is, it got printed. There you go. Come on. All right, come on. All right. Well, I listened to y'all talk. For one, I wanted to say thank you all for opening up opportunities and reminding us to just do it. Because imposter syndrome has been my greatest enemy. I, too, am a perimenopausal bae. And I just want to curl up with my pages every day, and then there's the next thing and the next thing. What started you into being able to prioritize that time for self?
So I have 2 young children, and at the time I decided to claim that I was a writer, because I've always written, but I didn't actually claim being a writer because I was like, oh, I haven't gone to school, and, making excuses, the imposter syndrome, like there has to be somebody that gives me permission to say I am who I know I am. So it was in 2022, I think, and I heard of the writer's room actually, and I was like, writer's room? I was like, a place where that's all I can do and there are snacks? Because I promise you, I'm also neurodivergent, also perimenopausal. I will allow my children and my partner to be excuses. And I found that out for myself, that if I don't make this a priority for myself, if I don't either put it in my, my calendar, if I don't find a place to make it a priority, if I don't find a deadline to submit to, it's not going to happen. And the only thing that separated me from that choice was audacity. And so I just said, you know what? I mean, there are so many mediocre, terrible things that are floating out that are published, like big, major, like publishers. Yeah, I mean, just it's bad. And I'm sitting here, And I'm sitting here like, oh no, no one's gonna read this. Well, it doesn't matter if no one's gonna read it. I like it. I like my work. And so even if nobody bought the book, I was still gonna submit it. People did buy it, and seeing it on that table over there, it makes me like joyful every single time. But really the change is just, you just have to decide. There's not anybody that's going to give you permission other than yourself. And if you wait for someone to say that you're good enough, or you wait for somebody to, because sometimes the help and critiques that you get from people can be well-meaning, but if oh, I don't really like that. I really like it when I was actually saying this to a poetry teacher, because he was like, you've got all these spaces here. Why you got these spaces? Make sure they're intentional. And they were intentional, because the intention was for people to read what I wrote out loud. And so part of that was literally just a pragmatic way of helping people to read what I wrote and make sense of it. And so I left it, and now I'm hearing from people, I'm so glad that your form, they called it a form. I was like, a form? They said, your form is so great. And I'm like, so my thing is, don't wait for permission. You're not gonna get it, especially if you are a multiple marginalized human being. They're not going to give you permission to do what you've been called to do. So put it in your calendar, for real.
Retirement and old age.
Oh, well.
Did you hear me? Retirement and old age gave me the time to write.
I have a question.
I'm Sharice Gillette. I am really having a wonderful time here. And I do want to say thank you to the panel for a balanced discussion. Howard Thurman talks about the sound of the genuine. I heard the sound of the genuine in this panel, from go fight to be careful to we need everything to we have to be strategic. It was beautiful to hear and to see it play out in a way where we are now having a different kind of discussion. And so thank you for that. And so I'm curious about your discipline of writing. You said retirement. You said I got to put it on my calendar. What's the discipline that you've developed to get something done? And how long does it take you to get it done?
I don't have no discipline. I am wildly neurodivergent. I don't know how I wrote books. I don't know how I do this job. Some days I think I'm pretty unemployable, except for the Carnegie Center. So no discipline here. So if you are neurodivergent and you can't keep the daily schedule, write when you can.
Right when you can.
And right when that fire is in your belly.
I literally just put something on my phone.
I did want to add this for the young lady that had imposter syndrome. I asked Crystal Wilkinson, this is while she was poet laureate of the state, if she ever dealt with imposter syndrome and how she got past it. And she said, I haven't. She said, I am still this poor Black child living in a small country town whose mama has mental illness. I'm still her every day. And it made me feel a little bit more comfortable with my imposter syndrome because of Crystal. But I said all that to say external validation will not pull you out of that. You've got to give yourself the validation. Like she said, if you are waiting, if you are waiting for permission, somebody could even give it to you and you will still have that imposter syndrome. You've got to love yourself. Even if you do, keep doing it every day. Look yourself in the mirror every day. Every day I speak over me. and eventually you'll see it wane. But I won every award. Claudia will tell you there is to win on UK's campus. I've read at Rupp Arena 6 times for thousands of people. I had the commercial, the nationally televised commercial last year that ran during all UK games, and I still had imposter syndrome. It wasn't until I stopped and I self-validated that I saw it begin to wane. But if Crystal Wilkinson had it at, and she's the poet laureate at that time, you in good company. You in good company, and you will overcome it. I will speak that over you. You will overcome that. You will realize you are so damn fire on that page. You are going to see it. And then once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's the problem. Because then you're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. But I did want to put that out there because so many of us struggle with it. It's not an individual experience,
Well-
Validation is for parking.
That's a good one. We want to thank all of our panel for taking their time to be here. And thank you all for coming.